Welcome to the Dork Forest. Jackie and her pals will never bore us. Shameless confessions
about our obsession
will make us laugh and smile. So let's explore the Dork Forest and dork out for a while.
Hi, it's Jackie Cation, and you are listening to The Dork Forest. The website's JackieCation.com, dorkforest.com, thedorkforest.com if you like a determiner. Let's do the credits. Patrick Brady's going to fix this audio and video. Vilmos works on JackieCation.com, and Mike Rickberg sang the song with his wife, Sarah. He composed it, and he will sing his version of the Mexican hat dance at the end of this show. Thank you so much for listening to The Dork Forest. Here's a scoop. I'm doing stand-up online. A lot of Zoom shows will eventually go back on the road. Sign up for my email list. It's easy to get off. It's harder to get on than it is to get off. And no harm, no foul. If ever bored, JackieCation.com, sign up for the email list. You'll find out about my weekly Zoom shows and stand up on the road eventually. You may donate to the show if you would like. I would like. Sure, I would. There's PayPal, Jackie at JackieCation.com, and there is a PayPal button on both DorkForest.com and JackieCation.com. And there's Venmo, if you like Venmo, Jackie-Cation, oddly enough. If you have listened to all of the shows, go to dorkforest.bandcamp.com, I think. The Dork Forest has a Bandcamp page. You can listen to a lot of ones that are free from pre-2009 when I started pre-recording. And then there's live episodes that cost me a couple of bucks, so I charge you a couple of bucks. There's also some stand-up. There's a story album that's very exciting there. And other than that, I have a lot of merch in my garage. Feel free to order if you know anybody who doesn't have any CDs or the DVD. And you can follow me everywhere at Jackie Cation. Let's get into the show. Hi, Jackie Cation here in my garage. That's right. And I'm here with fan of the show, longtime Dork Forest, Riley Mangels. Welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. I like your headphones with the ear buddies on it.
They light up too.
Do they? That's
do.
Hilarious.
It's amazing.
Well, so you're like, you sent me an email because I said, do you want to be on the Dork Forest? And you're like, yeah, I can dork out.
Of course.
Right? It's attainable goal. And you said musicals.
I did.
And now my knowledge of musicals is, as per usual, pardon me while I brush things off of my body, because we are filming. Anyway, so musicals. I watched them as a child. We've done several episodes on the Dork Forest about musicals. None of them is
Sugar. Yeah.
Rebecca Sugar did musicals.
She's
other people
amazing.
have also done. She is amazing. She's the Steven Universe lady.
And I love Steven Universe, which also has music in it.
Yes, it does. And she plays the ukulele. I have heard her play.
She does. I want to learn so bad.
It looks super fun. It doesn't look, it looks pretty, it's like sort of the recorder of guitars.
Right.
But I think it's easier than like learning how to play the clarinet, right?
Right.
So, because it only has a couple of strings. And I had one for a little while, and I didn't learn it. And then I gave it to Goodwill. So, hopefully it has found a home with someone.
I'm sure it did.
Yes, I really do. But did you watch them when you were a kid? Were you raised in theater? Were you born in a trunk? What happened?
My poor parents, they were wonderful, scary, hippie people. So they were very much into like the hard rock and the Grateful Dead. And I could probably sing you a whole Grateful Dead set from memory because I've been to so many shows in and outside of the womb. And so they were very much upset when their oldest child turned out to be the biggest bubblegum pop musical Disney obsessed dork ever. Like literally, like my mom would be like, headphones, please, God, please.
Oh my God.
Yeah, Disney is some families go to Vegas, some families go to Yosemite. My family went to Disney. So I've been pretty much a Disney dork since, I don't think I've never not been one. Yeah.
That is interesting. I have interviewed a couple of Imagineers, And I have been to Disneyland several times. I would like to go again as soon as it feels like I'm not going to be taking my life into my own hands here.
Exactly.
And I find $300. So, because it seems
Right?
to be prohibitively expensive
And
right
that's
now.
for one churro. No, I'm just kidding.
It feels like it. So your musicals are very specified in the way that it's, or were Disney your gateway musical?
Disney was kind of the gateway. The first real musical that I absolutely just diehard fell in love with was the 1997 Cinderella that Brandy and Whitney Houston did.
Was that live on ABC?
Yeah, live, but yeah, it was. It was one of those magical specials with creepy Michael Eisner in the beginning. And I fell so hard. All the singing and the magic, and Cinderella is a good story anyway. It's one of my favorite Disney stories in general. So
right,
I just was like this right here, this.
Because that was live action, right?
Right, exactly. Yeah, that Rodgers and Hammerstein did the musical. Well, the story is obviously from the 1800s, but the musical was from like the 1950s. Leslie Ann Warren did one with a really ugly color scheme of like orange, brown, and green. It was hideous. And then I loved that one too. But then when they brought in Rob Marshall, I believe, choreographed it and directed it, he did Chicago, the movie too. He just made it purple and pink and sparkly and just happy. And you can't get mad at Whitney Houston singing. You just can't get mad. Like it's impossible.
Was Whitney Houston in it?
She was the fairy godmother and she produced it.
Oh.
And she's the one who said, Brandy, you need to be in this. And she said, please be my fairy godmother. And I'm like, yes, happy.
Oh my God. I have to find that. Is that streaming?
It's on Disney Plus.
It is available right after we hang up.
Yeah.
Disney Plus happening.
Disney Plus is a constant in my house.
It's nice in the background. I have watched Frozen 2 no less than 13 times in the last 2 years.
That was, Show Yourself is one of my go-to, hey, I'm awesome kind of songs.
You love a Show Yourself.
I love Show Yourself.
I like Next Right Thing.
I love it. It makes me cry.
It always makes me cry. And then when I am older, always makes me laugh because of Olaf. He screams in that.
Yeah.
For the longest time.
Yeah.
It's got to be a 4-second scream for no reason. And
exactly.
You're just like,
it's like, I love you.
He's still screaming? He's still screaming. Oh, God, he was so good.
The best part of the movie is when he's reenacting the whole first movie for everybody. Yeah. And I'm just like, why is that me at every party talking about anything that I'm interested in? Because I'm just like, no, wait, no, it's okay. But yeah, no.
The next part is the best part.
Exactly.
I'll get to it. No, and he is that, and then of course the I forget the boyfriend's name.
Oh,
it's not
Kristoff.
It's not Sven.
Kristoff.
Sven's the horse. Sven's the moose. Kristoff singing "Lost in the Woods" with the '80s production
and the '90s like boy band pop ballad realness. I was in love. I was so happy. And Jonathan Groff is amazing. He's so talented.
It was so good. Yeah.
He's wonderful.
We have jumped ahead. Now I can go back and watch the Whitney Houston Brandy Cinderella, though.
Yeah.
And I was that in the theaters or was that on ABC?
No, it was just on ABC. It was
okay.
Like I think it was like a Sunday night Magical World of Disney kind of deal, you know.
Yep.
Then with ads for Disneyland in between, the one with the little girl so excited to talk to Goofy on the phone. I think I have that commercial on YouTube still, and it makes me cry every time I see it. Because she goes, I've waited my whole life to meet you, and Mickey standing right there. That's just mean.
Right.
Mean. But
mean. Because I remember when they first started doing musicals again, I think it was in the early 90s, or was it in the 80s?
I mean, Little Mermaid is...
when was Aladdin?
Aladdin was the 90s. Little Mermaid is 89. That's the beginning of what people call the Disney Renaissance. Okay. Because Alan Menken and Howard Ashman... Alan Menken is probably my hands-down favorite composer. Well, and John Williams. Okay.
Okay.
But yeah, like that was kind of the beginning of from Little Mermaid to about Hunchback. That's like the Renaissance right there, that moment.
Okay, Beauty and the Beast.
Die Hard, Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah.
Like
Beauty and the Beast, that book song in the beginning of it, I'm on board.
Oh yeah, all about it. That would played many a time in my house with us dancing around in tutus and underwear. It was amazing.
So Little Mermaid was 89.
Beauty
Aladdin
and the Beast
was 90?
Yeah, Beauty and the Beast was like 90, 91. Aladdin was right after that. And then Lion King. And then Pocahontas.
Oh, yeah. They lost me at Pocahontas. I don't know if I was offended for the Native Americans or if I just didn't like it. I can't tell you. I
was like 9, 10.
Right,
so it was
exactly.
Still
you
like,
were a child.
It was still core Disney for me. And also, It's one of the only cute raccoons in existence. And I love Mika. And he's a pig. He's hungry the whole time. And I'm like, that is relatable right there.
That is outstanding.
Yeah. Pocahontas, and then also Hercules is one of my top 10 favorites. Hunchback.
Yep.
Yeah. Hunchback is also, it's a little darker. It's probably the first PG Disney movie I saw because I was a little too young for Black Cauldron, which is the first PG Disney movie ever.
Oh, was it?
There are ghosts and skeletons and scary and death, and not a fan. Sorry. I like happy and sparkly. No.
Happy and sparkly.
Happy and sparkly.
There's plenty of dark and crazy going on the inside.
Exactly. Don't need any of that.
I would like the outside to try to counteract that.
Exactly. Like I've shown my husband like Disney vacation stuff, and they have in Florida, they have it's called the Art of Animation Resort, and all of the different rooms. They're like, if you get a suite, you can do Lion King, or you can do Cars, or you can do. There's another one, but a standard room is the Little Mermaid, and it's like if Lisa Frank and an 8-year-old just decorated a room. It's magical. And my husband's like, "Is that what the inside of your head looks like?" I was like, pretty much. He's very patient and very tolerant. He's like, "Oh God."
That is, God bless our partners.
Exactly.
And exactly. And so, so you end up liking all this stuff from when you're little.
Right.
Which led to you memorizing?
Oh yeah, I had the
composers
cassettes.
And
I had the cassettes. The first real, Cinderella was a show in itself. I also did a lot of theater growing up as kids, like like for school, things like that. I would.
Oh right, yeah.
And then I started taking like theater like seriously, and I didn't really do it in middle school because I was in that really awkward phase of I don't want people to look at me kind of thing. I still am in that awkward phase, but it was really bad in middle school.
Right. That was the introduction to Please Don't Look at Me.
Exactly. That was the, oh God, there are other people who can walk and talk and function, and here's me doing all of this. No thanks.
No thank you.
But then, in high school, I was like, I have to try. I have to. And I had a lot of friends who were also, they're all my classes and same theater stuff. And I went to a really theater focused high school. I went to Hillsdale High School where we had like an improv team. We had, and then we also had the big musical, and then we had a black box theater where we did one acts in the fall. Like they were very much like, woohoo, theater.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Is that in the Bay Area?
Yeah, it's in San Mateo.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
And then I just really, I think probably the first, like, as a grown up, because I'm really not there yet. The first real show that I like connected with was Rent. Like Rent was just
Rent,
amazing. Like it was. I
heard it was sad.
It is very sad. But
how'd you get through? I couldn't. You know what? I have never been able to see the end of 2 musicals on the television. Sharks and Jets, West Side Story.
That one's
I've never seen the end of it.
I know what happens, but yeah.
And The King and I.
Yeah, I love The King and I.
End.
Yeah, I love The King and I.
I love the beginning of all of those.
Oh yeah, and absolutely. Rent is kind of like, to me, as much as I grew up in the Bay Area and very the Bay Area is fairly forward thinking, but I also was very much sheltered in, the peninsula where I grew up was very much Wonder Bread white land. So I was very not oblivious, but very naive. And Rent was the first thing of like the first drag queen that I ever saw was Rent. The first gay couple in person in front of me. Like other than like, Will and Grace, that doesn't really count.
Wow, you grew up when Will and Grace was on television.
I remember the episode where Will kisses Jack and everyone like lost their minds. And I thought it was like, who cares? I don't get it.
Yeah. Right. You were a child being taught that it didn't matter.
No.
But I was a child when I saw girls holding hands in Chicago once in front of a museum, and it was we were on a field trip, and it was a huge deal.
Oh, yeah.
So, whatevs. So, we've come far.
We have. Yeah, I mean.
So far to go.
Exactly.
So, Rent, is it about rent? I just heard it was sad.
It is sad. It's actually based on an opera called La Boheme. And it's about people who they're artists, they're starving artists, it's set kind of in the early 90s, late 80s, kind of New York. So a lot of incredible fashion choices. But it's about these, they're basically trying to not have the neighborhood. The neighborhood is about to be gentrified and all this other kind of thing. And it's also a love story. And it's about your friends who become your family. And, and just basically it's about, it's about love. That's really what it's about. It is very sad. And, because the one, like, it seems like the one seemingly truly happy couple is the one that unfortunately is the one that it doesn't work out.
Well, August? Was that his name? The guy who wrote it?
Oh, Jonathan Larson.
Jonathan Larson. Then who am I thinking of? His first name is August. Who is that? Somebody email me, Jackie Cation, when you find out what's going on in my head. He is a gay. He won a Pulitzer Prize, and he died of AIDS.
He did, and he died right before the show was going to open.
Is that Jonathan Lawson?
Jonathan Larson, yeah.
Larson. Okay, well then who the hell was August? Because he also died. People died of AIDS right and left all through the 80s and 90s in my life.
Exactly. So, it was, that was one of the things too, is he brought a lot of, again, I'm younger in the sense of the people in the show than, so AIDS wasn't really brought into my home. I didn't really know that was really the first thing. And so it was really like, oh my gosh, like it was so real to me, even though they're like running around singing and dancing, like it's still, it was a big deal. And then I just kind of fell for, full disclosure, there are musicals I don't like.
The thing is there's something of every genre. We could talk about the ones you do like.
For sure. But, I love anything that is, it has to be happy and sparkly, but also like it has to be just really good storytelling and good music. Like one of my favorites recently has been 9 to 5.
Oh, which I've also never seen, which is Dolly Parton's
the movie. The movie
9 to 5. Where is that streaming?
Illegally on YouTube.
Fair enough. Or I could probably spend $4 on Amazon Prime. So,
you can find the movie easily. The original cast was Allison Janney played the Lily Tomlin character, who I love. I'm a West Wing geek too, so I just love Allison Janney. She's phenomenal.
Right.
Megan Hilty was the Dolly Parton character. She's done a ton of different things. She was Glinda in Wicked. She was in the TV show Smash, which it's on Amazon Prime. Check it out. It's amazing. And then one of my favorites, her name is Stephanie J. Block. She plays the Jane Fonda character. And she's just, I want to be her when I grow up, if that ever happens. That'd be amazing.
Is the movie 9 to 5 a musical as well?
No. Well, there's the part where they get high.
Fonda.
There's a part where they get high. So no.
Dolly Parton's in it. But,
she wrote the theme song. Yeah, she wrote the theme song for it. The movie's not a musical. The movie is a hoot and a half. Like being like a young person who didn't really see a lot of I think one of the reasons I like Disney so much is that I only really saw that because I have 2 younger sisters who are both 7 and 13 years younger than me. So my parents just kind of squished us together and said, here, you go watch what they're watching. So I wasn't really, into I didn't see an R-rated movie well past my 21st birthday. I just was very much a kid. So when I finally saw it, I'm like, they smoked pot in like the 80s. Like that's just like a thing. Like, cause they do that in the movie, but the musical is wonderful. Dolly wrote all the songs for it. The guy who plays the bad guy in the movie, he's hysterical. I mean, I fast forward.
Dabney Coleman.
Yeah.
He's the poor man's Gene Hackman.
Yeah. And then it's great. And like Dolly is just an icon. So the music is really fun and catchy. And Stephanie is just, she was,
your favorite.
One of her and Sutton Foster probably are like all-time favorites.
Okay. So what has Sutton Foster been in?
She's been in quite a lot of things. Right now she's in London doing Anything Goes, and I would love to be there, but yeah. Life, work, COVID.
Yep.
But yeah, she was Fiona in the Shrek musical.
Okay.
Which is also on Netflix, and you should watch it. It is fabulous. Brian Darcy James is Shrek, and he's phenomenal. And then she's done quite a few shows. One of my favorite things is not a musical, but it's wonderful. It's called Younger. Mm-hmm. It's a show about she's a mom. She became a mom, and circumstances happen in her life, and she has to act like a 20-year-old to get a job. And she's Sutton Foster. She's stunning. Of course, she looks 20 years old. Oh, and Hilary Duff is in it. The lady from Goodfellas is in it. The girlfriend. What is her name?
I remember the first sort of dangerous musical that I saw was Grease.
Yeah.
And I remember my stepmother going, I don't think you understand what this is about. Okay. Enjoy.
That is a rare one where the movie is way better than the musical. The musical is long. And there's
really?
Yeah, and there's extra songs, so I'm just like, I don't understand what's going on. We don't need it.
Yeah.
The movie is great. Although as a kid you totally buy it, but then I'm like, how did they not know that John Travolta wasn't like 30? Like I'm confused.
Oh my God. And Stockard Channing.
Yeah, and I'm just like
everybody is 30, no one is 16.
No
one is even 22.
Right.
So
I find that with they just redid the Babysitters Club, and the little girls now look actually 13. Like they look like little girls. And then I remember dating myself. There was a 80s and 90s series of the Babysitters Club. All those girls are like 18. I'm like, there is no way y'all are 13. There's no way. And I totally bought it as a child, but not anymore.
Yeah. Well, when you're a kid, everybody over 15 is hugely old.
Exactly.
And so you're like, well, it's fine. They're in high school.
I mean, and everyone's taller than me anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
Everyone's taller. Everybody looks like they're on the verge of death.
Exactly. They all grow up faster. They all eat their vegetables, and I eat macaroni and cheese. It's okay.
So you're talking theater, like musicals, not necessarily the movie musicals.
I mean, there are some movie musicals that I'm not a fan of, but I mean, I love that it is now cool to like musicals. Like, it's cool now. Like, Moulin Rouge is wonderful. Ewan McGregor is fabulous, and so is Nicole Kidman. I'm trying to think of straight movie.
I bought the trilogy, the Romeo and Juliet, Strictly
Baz
Ballroom.
Luhrmann. Yeah, very cool.
And Baz Luhrmann. Here's the thing: never saw the end of Romeo and Juliet either.
It's
West Side Story, but from the 1600s, you guys.
I was forced to read it, so because it's a high school thing.
I know how it ends.
Yeah,
I know.
That's why Shakespeare in Love is actually really cool, because at least it's like romantic a little bit, and you can kind of let it go. But yeah, I get it.
Same with Hamlet 2. Did you ever see Hamlet 2?
I saw commercials for it.
It's two separate movies. The second movie that's inside this one movie is a great movie, and it is about the production of a play that the teacher has written called Hamlet 2. And everyone is like, doesn't everyone die at the end of Hamlet? And he's like, I've got a device. And you would like the second half of Hamlet 2. The first half of Hamlet 2 is fine, but it's a weird drama about how the theater teacher at this Tucson high school, his life is a mess. And then he decides to write Hamlet 2. And then it becomes delightful. And I love it so.
Have you seen Get Over It?
Yes, I have.
Martin Short is the best theater teacher ever. I'm like, I wouldn't want to have you as a theater teacher, but I love you because I had teachers like that growing up, and just, ooh.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't remember enough about that, but all I have is a visceral reaction to that was great.
Yeah, he was so funny. I mean, the movie is, I'm not a huge fan of like teen rom-com kind of things. I was too cool for school. Like, I was like, actually read literature. Whatever. I outgrew that. Like, now I'm like, no shame. I read Harry Potter. We're okay. But
yeah. YA stuff, I'm in.
Yeah, but like, but yeah, that was just like a really unique thing of like, they made musicals cool in high school. And that was always like a thing. Like, I'm a little too, I say old. I kind of outgrew like the Disney musical. Like, I've seen parts of High School Musical. That's something like, that's more my sister.
Because your little sisters are much younger.
Yeah.
And I will say, I saw High School Musical, and I was fascinated by it because it was like the Mormon version of Grease.
Yeah.
They don't even then I saw High School Musical 2 and 3 because I became fascinated with it. And they don't even kiss until High School Musical 3. And I was like, wow. All right, then.
It's a powerful thing, the Disney thing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They shut them down.
Exactly.
So, yeah. So, live, did you see Rent in the theater?
I have. I've seen Rent, I think, 5 or 6 times. I did actually get to see, it was called the Back to Broadway tour, where Anthony Rapp and Adam Pascal came and toured with the show. That was wonderful. I actually got to meet Anthony. He wrote a book a few years ago, and he signed my copy. He's so wonderful. And Adam Pascal had a one-man show, like, this was years and years ago, but I don't think I've met him, like, personally, but we waved.
Yes. You were there.
Yeah, I was there. I was in the audience. We connected eyes. It was a moment. But yeah, I've seen, let's see, I just saw Hamilton again because it was back here. The Aunt Peggy cast is phenomenal. They're probably my favorite people on the planet.
That's awesome.
They were, I love Lynn. But it's hard. It's kind of like the thing of like you see people and Alexander Hamilton is very snooty and snotty and like I don't give a care about people's feelings kind of person. So I can't see Lynn doing that because he's just that little munchkin. I just want to pinch his cheeks. I can't do it. But our Hamilton, just phenomenal. Julius Thomas, I think his name is.
Did you see the original cast? I have a friend who is a musicals dork that I have never had on the program that I should. She lives though in Philadelphia. So she goes to New York to see live theater. So you go to San Francisco to see live theater?
San Francisco, yeah. San Francisco, I've been to San Jose too. San Jose has some decent shows too.
Well, I saw a production of Chess in Eagle Rock at a black box theater underneath an overpass.
That's incredible.
Yeah, I saw Chess in London in 1989.
Wow.
And then I saw, I know, Andy, my husband and I have chess in common. The fact that we both liked the very weird, very dumb, very amazing musical about chess. A compelling narrative that is chess.
Yeah. My husband, I kind of like, he's not into musicals, but he loves Monty Python. So I was like, Spamalot. Ta-da! I've never seen Spamalot, but and he's like, maybe if it ever comes here, maybe. And I'm like, okay, cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you making a short list of things? You're just like, would he see that Muppet thing, the dirty Muppet thing?
Oh, he would see Avenue Q. I've seen Avenue Q a couple times. It's hilarious. So funny.
I wanted to see it. I haven't seen it.
Yeah, I saw it. It toured here. Forever ago. I'm still in my 20s.
I saw a musical. Yeah, go ahead.
I saw it also, I think another a repertory theater did it here in San Francisco, and it was really cute. They did a really good job.
Yeah, because there's great ones. And then sometimes you just see live theater or live musicals, and you're like, so much work. This isn't great. Or this is so weird. I'm not a huge, this isn't my favorite thing.
Right.
But there's so much work that you have to appreciate how much work it was.
Oh, yeah.
I saw
every show is like that.
The Bodyguard. Which was that Whitney Houston movie that they turned into a musical.
Yeah.
And they played it a little too seriously. The movie wasn't even played seriously.
Right.
So we left going. We bought season tickets to the Pantages one year so that we could see Hamilton. And so we saw Hamilton, and then we saw a bunch of other plays and some musicals, and it was very exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have friends who do that, and they'll be like, hey, the show is coming up. I'm like, you are taking me. Like, yeah, my friends were like, so JC Superstar's coming, and I was like, yeah, that ain't gonna happen. I'm not a fan of like 70s kind of 60s kind of like JC Superstar. I understand we wouldn't have Rent without hair. I get it, but hair is just not my thing. I watched the movie and I was like, why don't they all just get jobs? And my husband just rolled his eyes.
I have to say that I saw hair. It was I sort of got sucker punched into seeing it because when I went to college back in the 12th century, there used to be movie night on Fridays and Saturdays. You would for $7 for 15 weeks you could see a movie, and so I saw a pile of classics, and one of them was Hair. And so we're watching Hair, and I was like, I love it. And then he dies. And I'm sobbing, sitting next to my friend who grew up in New York City and saw the production when she was a child.
Right.
And I was like, you didn't tell me.
Yeah. There are a few shows that, I mean, you know, if you ever go see Les Mis, that's not a cheerful story.
Not a chance in hell. I was like, wait a minute. It's in the title. They're miserable. And
there are some really good funny moments, though. My voice teacher has been like, so is that a character? There's a couple, and it's a very outgoing, like, loud character. And she's like, have you thought about maybe preparing a song for that? I was like, you're joking. No, I would feel ridiculous. But speaking of Hamilton, my voice teacher, she actually worked with Chris Jackson's wife. They did shows and stuff together. So she'll be like, oh, look at the picture of them. And I'll be like, shut up. I know. I love Chris Jackson. Hamilton is amazing. Also on Disney Plus.
Yeah. Also on Disney Plus. And because of course, as a middle-aged white woman, I heard the soundtrack first. And then it was revealed that the cast were people of color. And then I saw, and what I tried to do before it was touring anywhere near me, before I once asked a friend of mine, because she said, I'm going to see Hamilton. And I was like, the tickets are $1,200 a piece. And she said, I'm rich, Jackie. And I was like, oh, I forgot about that. I'm so sorry. And she's right. She is rich. But at least she's aware of it. But the thing is so what I did was I took clips from the different PBS, like the news hours. And I would watch, I was like, so this is how it starts, and then this song, and then I would try to see. And when I saw who was playing George Washington, I, of course, had never heard of Chris Jackson. But I looked at him, I was like, he is George Washington. He is what you would want George Washington to be. He's
wonderful. Like, and also he's Moana's dad. The singing voice of Moana's dad.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
On Moana?
Yeah.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah, I was wait a minute. The gentleman who we saw being George Washington, the last time we saw Hamilton, when it was still here, the friend that I was with, he goes, I'm in love. And I was like, I know, like, Chris Jackson might have a run for his money because, you know, and I was like,
because he stuck it.
Oh yeah, he stuck it. And what was really interesting, and I didn't notice it until my friend pointed out, but he was just like, the way he talks, the way he phrases is very much like how Obama would speak, and very much like just the way of like just the eloquence. And I was just like light bulb, and I was like, oh my God, yeah, I get it.
Yeah. This is an orator.
Oh yeah, it was amazing. Yeah, that cast. What I really appreciated about the cast, I mean, you know, they left because of COVID, and we didn't know if they were going to come back, and they did, and we're all very excited. What I loved is they kind of just did, pardon the ungainly phrase, but balls to the wall kind of moment. Just like you could tell they were thrilled to be performing again, and they were just so happy. And like what I loved is when we were there, the women they didn't look like ingenues. They looked like they were my age, and they were Angelica and Eliza were both plus size, not just like plus size, but plus size.
Yeah.
And I was like, yay, I can do this.
Right.
Well, not the rapping part.
Pay attention.
Yeah, not the rapping part, but yeah, and like and their hair was like natural and amazing, and some of them had locks, and I was like, oh my God, so happy. It just was it's probably the best. I mean, I've seen it 4 times. That was the best time.
That is awesome. The thing about theater is that it should be inclusive, right? It's always traditionally claimed to be so inclusive. And then, of course, there's like a curtain goes aside and you're like, except for these people.
Right. And I mean, yeah, it's hard because you kind of get to, I mean, there's kind of classes of roles. I mean, it's the same in Hollywood too. There's the younger roles. Then there's there's not really anything for our age except for the best friends, the mom, or
and
someone.
even those are all super foxy,
Right?
And but the thing is it's there should be, because I remember I read some article about the first time how they would not cast black ballerinas
Right.
in a cast with ballerinas or a ballet that was mixed race, and it wasn't because of segregation, but it was because of segregation. But
Right.
their thing was that it just, it won't look, you're just like, you are, this is out loud, you just said that.
Right.
And so it's like, it's one of those things though that you don't think about, in my crazy white brain, where I'm just like, oh, I never heard it before. I just need to learn, right?
Right, exactly. Like, and that's kind of like, I mean, I've always kind of like, I'm Wonder Bread White presenting, but I'm Latin. I have, my family is of color, and also,
You should see my Armenian brothers and dad.
Yeah, I mean,
this is I got the Irish half.
Yeah, I got the Irish and the lighter Italian part. Both my sisters, brown hair, brown eyes, they tan beautifully. I'm like, I hate you both, because I burn. But I was so like oblivious as to what it could be, or like I mean, ballet is a little bit more toxic too. Like you have to be certain sizes, you have to be certain. I mean, and you can dance and still be any kind of size you want. Theater, I mean, it's slowly getting better. I mean, if you look at Renee Elise Goldsberry, who was Angelica in the original cast, she was Mimi on Broadway at 35 in Rent. Mimi is someone who dances. Well, one, she's a stripper, and two, she dances and does all those things. At 35, you wouldn't cast someone like that. You would cast a 20-year-old, and she did it.
Yeah, Lin-Manuel Miranda has really done an amazing service to theater. I think.
I mean, and I love that Natalie, who is also Latin, my voice teacher, she is just like, we In the Heights was like the big thing for us because we had never really had a show yet, and I had never seen it until the movie. I loved it. And then also one of the songs that I did I did Breathe as one of my songs to work on with her. And I was like, this is amazing, but also it makes me want to cry and die a little bit inside. What are you doing? Because it's about families and failing, and that's fun. But yeah, so
right.
But the musical is wonderful. I think he's phenomenal, and I think he always surrounds himself with really good, talented people, which is great.
Well, I remember when I was I was like, the people he surrounded him with in Hamilton, because the dude's a gift to the world as far as I'm concerned.
Absolutely.
But he is not he has enough humility to book people around him who are better singers than he are.
Right.
Because he's wonderful.
He is.
But the guy who played Aaron Burr?
Leslie Odom Jr. Amazing.
Well, yeah. That guy's voice is a freaking stick of butter.
Yeah.
You're just like, it's just melting and gorgeous and amazing.
Exactly. Well, that's why when In the Heights came out and he can't cast Anthony Ramos as the main character, because on Broadway, Lynn played that part. And so Anthony Ramos, and I think he's just precious and adorable. But when Lynn gave himself the little smaller part of the ice cream salesman guy, and I was like, Lynn upped his vocals. He practiced. I'm so proud of him. Like, yay. Because even he was like, I'm a decent tenor. He's like, I'm an okay tenor at best. And I'm like, oh, honey, yeah. I love you. But yeah.
But so.
That's why I was so. Yeah. But he's
that
so
sort
brilliant.
of self-awareness. Yeah.
Right,
that
exactly.
sort of self-awareness. And I guess that there was some flack about Into the Heights and some of the casting on it. But again, the learning curve and Hollywood and all of these things where you're just like,
right,
he's changing, but it's going to be slow.
Right,
and
he's changing, but also with that change comes the realization on how not great things were before. So yeah, it's wonderful to celebrate where we are right now, but also at the same time, we can do better.
So much further to go. But
right, I would. When Hamilton streamed on Disney Plus, I saw a few articles that were like kind of like meh, and I'm like, how? Like I was livid, I was incensed, I was angry, I was just fire coming out of the ears. And then
Yeah, that's insane.
I was
Because
so-
the gift of seeing that original cast.
right. And then also people were pointing out, how they kind of gloss over certain things like slavery and things like that. And I'm just like, well, you guys are haters. And then I was like, but you know what? You can't put everything in one show. And Lynn said, he goes, you know what? I'm still learning. I'm still growing. This is what I put out there. And if we can have a good conversation about it, cool. Like, you know, there are things that, like, I love that certain people don't love. Like, there are people, like, the person who is associated with Harry Potter who wrote it. I'm not into that, but I still love Harry Potter. But there will be these people who will say, oh, Harry Potter's terrible. I'm sorry. Did you write a 7-book series? Are you an accomplished author? Then stop. You don't, she's a horrible human being, but that's still an accomplishment.
Well, the fact that that's the hill she wants to die on makes you want to go, you're killing me. But somebody gave me a sticker. Someone sent me a sticker that was in the trans flag colors. That I don't know what the trans flag colors are. Who knew there was a flag? But it said, I support Harry Potter, not J.K. Rowling.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like, yeah. And that's what I'm going, if somebody can watch fucking Woody Allen and enjoy it, if you can enjoy a Bill Cosby album and enjoy it, I get to enjoy Harry Potter. You can get off my areola, as Janelle Monáe. What's that? Janelle Monáe? Yeah.
Janelle Monáe.
And so, but I will. What about on ice? Do you enjoy Disney on ice?
I did as a child, and then growing up.
Did you get to see some?
I did. I saw. What did we see? I got to see The Little Mermaid. Because they always kind of chorus. I don't understand why.
Tropical.
Exactly. I don't understand. Like, as a kid, I'm just like, how did they know that's like my favorite? Because that's when the movie's timed out too. I got to see all, I saw Little Mermaid and like the celebration of fun. My absolute favorite, probably, it's not on ice, but it's kind of the same thing. It's a Fantasmic at Disneyland, at Disney World. It's basically this huge thing. They use water, and it's basically Mickey dreaming. And he's dreaming about all of these different Disney things. And then, the villains come and Maleficent comes. It's a thing. You can find it on YouTube. It's magical. It's so much fun. It's probably one of my favorite things to do when I'm there. Oh, I miss Disney.
That's awesome. And, what do you want to talk about next? Or I have a question.
No, ask your question.
Okay. So I would say that the stories in musicals have traditionally been they've had a chance to address, things that don't get addressed, right?
Right.
Like Evan Hansen is trying, but Evan Hansen is hard for me because it's about that kid.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen it. So what I like to do is to judge things with very little information. And there is a stand-up comic named Steve Ranazizi who lied about being in 9/11. And so I want them to change the name of Dear Evan Hansen to Dear Steve Ranazizi. But he actually claimed that he was in one of the Twin Towers.
Oh.
And they caught him. I'm not kidding. 16 years later.
Oh my God.
He told the story on Mark Maron's podcast. He told the story. Finally, the New York Times, he was on something. He was on a TV show on TBS called The League.
Yeah.
And he is just sort of one of these, regular featured white guys. And so very successful. And it comes out that he lied about it. He works in Midtown. I don't even think he was in town that day. And but he had told this lie so many times. He told it 3 or 4 times over the course of 15 years that he literally began to believe it himself. So the Times calls him out on it. He apologizes, and he currently works nonstop. So irritated, but Dear Evan Hansen is about sort of a young white man.
Yeah.
Who just, and he's a child, right? He's 14 or 15, right?
He's a high schooler. The empathetic person that I try to be. Teenagers do dumb things. The problem
entirely.
The issue that I have is the musical kind of doesn't address it in a way where it's resolved and, hey, that's kind of a wrong thing. It kind of goes, eh.
Which is the Steve Ranazizi thing, where he was 24 until he was 38.
Right.
So.
And I love that. I don't know. I mean, I think it's important to have accountability, and I think it's important to write characters who do fail, but also who strive to be the best. Like, I really think that, you know, do I think the music is beautiful? Sure. Do I think Ben Platt's voice
like
is
some of the
magical?
songs.
Yeah, Ben Platt's voice is magical. And he's a really cute puppy. But
his dog?
Yeah, his dog is. I follow him on Instagram.
Okay.
But yeah, and there are certain things that I like, you know, like the Book of Mormon. A lot of people think it's hysterical. I mean, and I love some of the people who've been in it, like Andrew Rannells is fabulous or whatever, but I think it's really kind of cringy to talk about, you know, Mormonism and you know, colonizing other countries and things like that. Like, I just think that's a little, it did not age well.
It actually did not age well. That was one of the ones we saw at the Pantages, and we had been told how great it was.
Right.
And so we saw it, and I was like, parts of it hold up.
Right.
And some parts of it do not. Where you're like, I see where they drop but it's South Park guys, right? So you're just like, South Park itself doesn't hold up very well.
Which is true. I mean, like, you know, I think Avenue Q holds up a little bit better because essentially there's this kind of message of, yeah, things suck, but it's only for now. One of my favorite things is the ending song is called For Now, and they start talking about things that are only for now. And the last couple of lines it was 45 was still in office at the time, and they're like, Donald Trump is only for now. And I was like, you guys are cute. That's adorable. Thank you.
Yes, appreciate because it's true. I mean, tomorrow will come, says Annie.
Exactly.
And it is true, because that is one of the things I like about all different kinds of art forms, is that they give you hope, even though you're in a terrible time, you know?
Exactly.
These are hard times we're in.
Exactly. And I think, and that's one of the reasons why I love music. I mean, you know, call me corny, call me sappy. A lot of these musicals are about having a resilience of spirit and being kind to people who are different than you, kind to people who you don't know who they are. I mean, it just, you have to, like, and that's kind of what, at the core, that's what I think what my musical theater is kind of about. We're a community of people who didn't really necessarily fit into the norm or whatever, but we all came to this place and this is what we do. There's a really wonderful, it's on YouTube, when the Kennedy Center does their honors thing, I think it was 2011 or 12, they honored Barbara Cook, who was the original Marian the Librarian on Broadway, for The Music Man. She's, you know, she has since passed, but, which is ironic because Sutton Foster's in it, and now she's Marian the Librarian on Broadway, with Mr. Hugh Jackman. But they did they do the tributes kind of thing, and, quite a few people are in it. Glenn Close, who I had no idea was a Broadway person. Please take my card. Yeah, we have the joke of I have a card, like card carrying Broadway fan, and there were times I just take it. I didn't know, like, my voice teacher she's not older than me, but she's older than me. I didn't know that Mandy Patinkin was a big musical person. I thought he was just on Criminal Minds and The Princess Bride.
Sure. So, you know, the guy, the Charles Kimbaugh, who was on Murphy Brown, the guy who played Jim Dial, the talking head dude, he was in musical theater. Right.
Or, like, you know, I have friends who would be like, why are you, like, all geeky about Law & Order? That's Jesse L. Martin and Jerry Orbach. That's the original Billy Flynn from Broadway, and that's the original dude from Rent. I'm blanking on his name. Tom Collins. There you go. But yeah, and they'd be like, they sing? I'm like, yeah, whatever. But, anyway, but yeah, like we all pull from those amazing, like, places. Like, and that's one of the things I love about theater. I love that you can find, like, it's on Amazon Prime. It's called Smash. It's about, they're trying to recreate a Marilyn Monroe musical. It's got quite a few people from, all over the Broadway spectrum. It's got, Brian Darcy James. It's got Angelica Houston's in it. Christian Borle, my other Broadway husband. He's magical. Chris Jackson.
And that's on Prime?
Yeah, it's on Prime. Okay. I caved and bought the seasons because I just didn't want to wait anymore. Right. But yeah, and Katharine McPhee from American Idol and Waitress is in it. And it's really cool. It's really fun. And then even people who aren't even singing in the movie, like Brian Darcy James doesn't sing at all in that show. And he was in the original cast of Next to Normal. He played which you guys did talk about on the Dark Forest, Next to Normal.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I found like a bootleg copy of one of his last shows. I was so frustrated. It's about 45 minutes. I'm like, you guys, I understand you're cheering for him, but I can't hear what he's singing. Stop.
Yes, exactly. This kid that I used to babysit for, I did childcare for a while when I first moved to Los Angeles, and the kid was a theater nerd, and I remember it was, she had all of these bootlegs of these VHS, and she's like, you have to watch this. It's Bernadette Peters in Into the Woods. And I was like, okay. And that was amazing. And then her little brother, who was a skateboard kid, right? He was just like, I think it was Cats. And so I come, they're in the middle of it for some reason. And I come in and I sit down and I'm like, I turn to Cole and I'm like, is this any good? And Cole is, I think, 9 at the time. And he's seen so many of these, but he doesn't like any of them. But he's like, it's interesting. There's some stuff here. And it was, you were like, you're 9. And Cats is not for me. But I'm not really a cat person. So,
I mean, I love cats.
I love my cats.
But I just, the musical is a little,
It's cryptic. It's too cryptic. Yeah. I like a more straightforward message.
Yeah, it's more of like a poem and things. And I'm just, my voice teacher loves it. She's like, I love it. I'm like, no.
Good. You get to.
Exactly.
There you go.
More for you. Same thing with like JC Superstar and Joseph and the Technicolor Dreamcoat, Godspell. Pass.
Oh, right. Yeah.
But yeah, like what I love about musicals too is just, to me, it always just showed like there's these people with just this resilience. Like, it is hard work to be a performer. Like, I had to kind of relearn. I mean, I've sung off and on my entire life. I did the performing, I did all of that. And then I stopped for a while because life happens and you get married for the first time and it's no fun. And, you kind of have to deal with life. And then you realize, hey, what do I really miss? And so I started doing it again. And with not doing it all the time, I started being really like just nervous and shy, not wanting to do it. And then you watch these shows and it's like, it's effortless. And then like, I was like, you know why it's effortless? Because they did it for a whole month and they picked apart every song and everything. They probably don't even like the song anymore. But you, it's like, woo, I love it. So, and that's kind of and it's just, and I love that the theater is beginning to give women more powerful stuff. Like, I mean, I thought the Frozen musical was a really great idea. I thought it was really, the girl who played Elsa in the beginning, Casey Levy, like, Let It Go wasn't meant to be a song to be sung 8 times a week. Like, it's a hard song. I mean, Idina Menzel is wonderful, and she did a great job, but Cassie Levy just took it and just went boom. So, like, and what I've been trying to do more is kind of trying to fit myself and to figure out where I fit in the theater now. Because, like, I'm 38. And, I can still...
But you're not going to ever be younger, so you might as well start now.
Exactly. Right? And, like, and for me, like, I kind of have to find, like, I can still belt out Wicked. I can still love those shows, but I have to kind of redefine what my Broadway stuff is now. Like, we just saw Sondheim's Follies. They did a Fathom event, so we got to watch the 2018 production. So it was Professor Umbridge from Harry Potter was the main lady.
Right.
She was wonderful, by the way. And it had, one of the songs is like this lady, it's called Leave You. And it's like this lady who's like, can I leave you? Can I leave how much you suck and you're terrible or whatever? Can I do it? I think I could. And that's totally the opposite of what I do, my aesthetic normally. I'd like, if it's nerdy, geeky, cute, kind of awkward, me.
Yeah.
So that was just like this tall, like rich woman being like, oh, no. So I'm just like, that's it. That right there. I want to do it.
I could do that.
One. Right. Or we did, what else did we do? Oh, we did Sunset Boulevard, As If We Never Said Goodbye.
Wow. Yeah.
And I actually saw Betty Buckley. She was Dolly Levi in the traveling cast of Hello, Dolly that came by recently. She was wonderful. And I feel I felt a little mean because I'm like, she was wonderful. The cast was wonderful. But then for Christmas, I got this amazing book called A is for Audra. It's a children's book about all the leading ladies on Broadway. And Betty Buckley's in here. And I was like, a diva? I have never heard that. I am very confused. And then I started doing research. She was in Sunset Boulevard. And if you've ever heard her sing As If We Never Said Goodbye, you have not lived. It's phenomenal. And it's all about a lady who's basically afraid of like fading into the light. And she kind of loses her mind literally over it. But, you know, it's an interesting show. It's a really interesting, Sondheim to me is kind of like, you know, I feel like I've graduated from like, okay, Rent and fun musicals. And now it's like Sondheim stuff is grown up. Like Into the Woods is fun. Like the movie I've only seen the Disney movie, which I thought was wonderful. Everyone's like, James Corden can sing. I'm like, of course he can sing. Have you not seen Carpool Karaoke? Come on, guys.
Yes.
And Emily Blunt was wonderful. I love Anna Kendrick. The first time I ever saw her was, it's on, I don't know if it's on Prime, but it's called Camp. It's a movie about Camp Ovation, which is a real camp that a lot of famous people went to. Like Natalie Portman went there. And it's like a summer camp. It's very tropey, like kid romantic-y kind of thing. But the music in it most of it is original and it's excellent. And they do a lot of Sondheim musicals. Like there's a very funny bit about like the two Black students come in and they're like, guys, you know, we want to do a show. Like we want to do a show that represents us. And so they do Dreamgirls. And these are like children. So they're about to do the And I'm Telling You scene. And this one girl is being the Jennifer Hudson character. And this little boy is being the Jamie Foxx character. And I'm just like, this is so weird. Like, this is not appropriate. But it's very funny and cute.
Okay, yeah. So,
but theater gives you a place to define yourself, I think.
Right. And I mean, growing up, it's just a place for, it's, you know, I remember when I was a kid, it was a place for weirdos, you know, you were just like, you had someone to hang out with, you had someone to talk to. One of my big crushes in high school was a guy who, in retrospect, could not have been gayer and had to explain that to me when he was 15 and I was 15 and it was, you know, 1980. So, and he was like, we're going to see, the midnight movie, whatever.
Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Rocky Horror Picture Show. I go every weekend with a lot of guys, a lot of friends, and you're great. Anyway, so I was like, well, can I come? And he's like, no. I need to be with these weirdos and feel like I'm part of something. So he was an incredibly nice young man, and he tried to let me down as good as it was, but it was so, you know, you need a place to learn and to be safe and learn that you're of value, you know?
Exactly. And I think that theater gives that. And also it gives you a place to realize that it's okay to be, not only is it okay to be who you are, but here's a place where you can be celebrated for who you are. I was on a Rocky Horror cast for a number of years, not performing, but like tech and helping out and things like that. I had friends and ex-partners who were there. And it was great. It kills your weekend. Mm-hmm. Because you go on Saturday night, you start not drinking. What are you talking about? You start drinking at 10 before the show and you don't get home until 4 the next day. So your Saturday is pretty much shot.
Right.
But it was so much, would I do
in
it
San
now?
Francisco or
a couple different places. Menlo Park. I know they had we did Reno. It was our cast got so big that it was either the little theater inside or the big amphitheater, and they kicked Hoobastank, the actual band. I don't know if they're still a thing, but they were a thing at the time, and they were kicked out of the amphitheater and into the little theater because we had so many people. It was like,
that's right. Mm-hmm.
Very cool.
Mm-hmm.
They had her name on top of it, and I was like, this is awesome. And then, you know, eventually it's kind of became something I grew out of because I don't like petty people, but it still was a place of, I was celebrated for who I was, even though I was like Disney princess sparkle happy all the time, and most people there shopped at Hot Topic and did a lot of things that I was not into. I was still celebrated for who I was.
Right. It was so inclusive that it was people that you could like and not like and like and not like. I mean, it's so, you're just like, no, those are different weirdos than the kind of weirdo I am, but
Right.
we're all hanging out to put together this thing, and then afterwards we'll go into smaller groups.
Exactly.
But at least, yeah. And I loved marching band.
Yeah.
And I loved debate class. And I loved, I had my dorky nerd things that made me feel human.
Exactly. They were like
that I was a person.
Your tribe, your tribe, your people. I mean, and when those people like go on and do amazingly fantastic things, it's like yeah, like it's awesome. Like in the theater community, one of the community theater estimate, one of the girls who used to do community theater for I think Livermore, she's now on Broadway as Elphaba in the new Wicked. Like that's mind-blowing.
Huge,
right? Or
yeah. And you knew her.
Yeah.
And you
I didn't, but
you could.
I knew of her.
Yeah.
James Monroe Iglehart, who he directed shows in the Bay Area, and he was also in the traveling cast of Spelling Bee, which is another one of my favorite shows. He played the comfort counselor, and then he won a Tony for being the first genie in Aladdin. And we know each other. Like,
yeah.
We like each other's posts. Like, it's not anything big.
What's the Spelling Bee? So wait. You have given many suggestions that people should definitely watch. We're approaching an hour, just so you know.
Okay.
And so everyone should see 97 Cinderella.
Yes.
9 to 5 if they can see it, the Alice and Janney musical. Get Over It with Martin Short.
Not a musical, but amazing.
and about theater. Very lovely.
Yes.
And Smash.
Yes.
Which is on Prime.
Yes.
What are there ones you're looking forward to seeing that you've either not seen before or are looking forward to seeing again?
I'm really looking forward to Steven Spielberg's West Side Story because it's going to be with actual brown people, not people wearing ugly brown makeup.
Okay.
It's supposed to be really. I mean, it's going to be sad. I already know I'm going to cry, but I'm really excited. I'm a singer. I am a performer. All the rhythm is here. It is not in my feet at all. So I love musicals where I can watch something that I'm just like, yeah, no, that's never going to happen. I'm excited. I hope that Music Man does well enough on Broadway that we get an original cast recording because I'm probably not going to be able to make it to see it. But yeah, I'm excited for Broadway opening back up again. I know everyone's been super excited. And it was great to see Hamilton. Like they checked our little cards and everything. We all were wearing masks, and I was like, I love all of you. It was not uncrowded. It was very crowded, and it was like we all were like thrilled to be there. It was great.
Yeah. So good for them for doing a Vax check. That is
sure.
I had to do a set the other night, and it was an outdoor set here in LA.
Right.
It was just a woman at the door. It was free to go to, but she was like, just need to see your vaccination card. And I was like, luckily, I mean, granted, I have a picture of it, but I also had it in my backpack where I keep my comedy notebook because I still have a backpack like a nerd. And
I have a Ravenclaw backpack. I rock that thing proudly. I am okay with it.
Yeah, I also have a very nice. Someone gave me a Captain Marvel handbag that doesn't fit my notebook. The current notebook is slightly too big. So, but I do have an old purse, like an old Coach bag that fits it perfectly. Just a nice shoulder bag.
Yeah.
Anyway, I've digressed. Everybody, I am talking, and I've talked with Riley Mangels. She's a person, you guys. She doesn't need you to follow her on Instagram or any of that. She might follow you. That might be how you met her, because that's how I met her. She's a comedy fan, and she's married to a comedy fan, and likes the Dork Forest. So you are great. This has been super fun.
This has been a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
Yay! This was great. Rangers, you know the rules out there. Take care of each other.
My hat, my hat, my hat. They're dancing around my hat. My hat, my hat, my hat. Well, what do you think of that? If it looks like a Mexican hat dance and it sounds like a Mexican hat dance, it's most likely a Mexican hat dance. So take off your hat and let's dance.
Yay! Oh my God. Why don't we just call that as the end of the show?